Let's read some Karl Marx. What did Karl Marx say in his Communist Manifesto? Karl Marx said this. He said that the discovery of America, the rounding of the Cape, opened up fresh ground for the rising bourgeoisie. The East Indian and Chinese markets, the colonization of America, trade with the colonies, the increase in the means of exchange and in commodities generally gave to commerce, to navigation, to industry, an impulse never known, and thereby to the revolutionary element in the tottering feudal society, a rapid development. This is Karl Marx. Karl Marx is saying capitalism is revolutionary. Capitalism is revolutionary. The bourgeoisie. He says it over and over again. Let's hear this. Meantime, the markets kept ever growing, the demand ever rising, even manufacture no longer sufficed. Thereupon steam and machinery revolutionized industrial production. Let's hear that again. Steam and machines revolutionized industrial production. The place of manufacture was taken by the giant modern industry, the place of the industrial middle class by industrial millionaires, the leaders of the whole industrial armies, the modern bourgeoisie. Well, you had Abigail, what happened? That one guy. They asked him what they thought about Kamala, saying that she wants to go forward and she doesn't want to be burdened by what has been. Well, hell, maybe the president she's under is the burden that has been. Maybe the Donald has been the burden that has been. She wants to move forward, which is progressive, to continue the march forward, to keep going forward. But you had that one guy, he got 5 million views. And he was so dramatic about it. He was like, oof, don't you dare ask me what I think that means. What I think that means, it comes from Marx, and Kamala Harris, the black woman, is going to be a Maoist. She's going to be a Stalinist. She's going to put us all on the farm collectives. She's going to make slaves of us all. She's going to put us into the gulags. We're going to have torture chambers on top of torture chambers. People are making up a bunch of shit. If you want to be a moral person and vote for the greater good, all four of the third party candidates, Chase Oliver, Cornel West, Jill Stein, and Claudia de la Cruz, they're all opposed to genocide. There is 43 states which are safe states, 43 safe states. And if you have 43 safe states, then that means your vote doesn't matter, America. Most of your votes don't matter. If you want to vote against the damn genocide and actually, be distinguished, be distinctive, be different. She is right-wing conservative. It's not even funny. She's a shapeshifter. She puts her finger in the wind. And when Bernie was running against her, she was going to run to the left of Bernie. And now she's been under, this incrementalist. And if you look at her policies and the things that she's promising, the status quo will be maintained with incremental breadcrumbs. And if you want the whole system to be overturned in Donald's image, well, you could vote that direction too. But to make it seem like she is a Stalinist or a Maoist, you guys are such fucking dumbass white supremacist piles of shit. It's not even funny. Let's carry on with some Karl Marx. This market has given an immense development. This market has given an immense development to commerce, to navigation, to communication by land. This development has, in its turn, reacted on the extension of industry, and in proportion as industry, commerce, navigation, railways extended in the same proportion, the bourgeoisie developed, increased its capital, and pushed into the background every class handed down from the Middle Ages. So they're saying that the capitalist class has brought in a brand new era, a new epoch. All those old eras, the slavery, the feudal societies, all the medieval societies have been pushed behind us. We're not burdened by the feudalists. We're not burdened by the Middle Ages. So when you talk about her saying that quote, maybe she's just talking about the onward advance of capitalism. We see, therefore, how the modern bourgeoisie is itself the product of a long course of development, a series of revolutions in the modes of production and of exchange. Each step in the development of the bourgeoisie was accompanied by a corresponding political advance of that class. And so when I think of Farid Zakaria, the age of revolutions, you have the Dutch Revolution, you have the French Revolution, and you got the Industrial Revolution. And the Industrial Revolution, people's wages were stagnant. Everybody was poor, and then boom, the Industrial Revolution made so much stuff. We actually have a problem with overproduction. Overproduction is an actual, it's a thing. Hey, we produce too much damn stuff. My God, look at all the stuff that capitalism has produced. The bourgeoisie historically has played a most revolutionary part. Again, revolution. Capitalism has been revolutionary. The bourgeoisie, wherever it has got the upper hand, has put an end to all feudal, patriarchal, idyllic relations. It's pitilessly torn asunder the motley feudal ties that bound man to his natural superiors, and has left remaining no other nexus between man and man than naked self-interest, than callous cash payment. Now, he's going to critique capitalism, and he wants to smash capitalism, but he wants the proletariats to do it. And where did we get the proletariats? By the capitalist class. Because you have all these factories. Well, what do you need to run the factories? You need the workers. And so, therefore, the workers in the factories are most in a position for the damn communist revolution to be ushered in. And then the ultimate idea of Marx, he's not a Maoist, he's not a Stalinist. Marx is just an author. He's a journalist. He is a theoretician. He's a thinker. And what he wants, when the proletariats, the workers of the world, to unite, he wants to dissolve the state. He wants basically to get rid of the state. Once the working class takes the state, then we create a society where we don't even need the state anymore. It has pitilessly torn asunder the motley feudal ties. It has drowned the most heavenly ecstasies of religious fervor, of chivalrous enthusiasm, of Philistine sentimentalism in the icy water of egotistical calculation. It has resolved personal worth into exchange value, and in place of the numberless and indefeasible chartered freedoms, has set up that singular, unconscionable freedom, free trade. In one word, for exploitation, veiled by religious and political illusions, it has substituted naked, shameless, direct, brutal exploitation. The bourgeoisie has stripped of its halo every occupation hitherto honored and looked up to with reverent awe, has converted the physician, the lawyer, the priest, the poet, the man of science into its paid wage laborers. I wish he was a Marxist. There is nothing wrong with being a Marxist. Being a Marxist, Marx was poor. Marx had 4 of his kids that died in poverty, starved to death in London. So he's an author, a journalist. He's got a job. He's making, writing all these historical and these different pamphlets. And he's still not able to have a subsistence, a living wage kind of life. The bourgeoisie cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing the instruments of production, and thereby the relations of production, and within the whole relations of society. So if you say that capitalism has been revolutionary, well, you're a Marxist. If you say that capitalism has been revolutionizing the machines and the production and the commerce and the navigation, has pushed the Middle Ages, brought us into a brand new historical epoch, then you're a Marxist. He does criticize capitalism, but he's being very particular with it. He says capitalism has kicked ass and taken names. It is doing so well and it's doing so good. Eventually we're going to get to the part where he talks about overproduction. Conservation, old modes of production in the unaltered form, was on the contrary the first condition of existence for all earlier industrial classes. Constant revolutionizing. Listen to him. This is Karl Marx over and over again. Revolution, capitalism has revolutionized the life, the society, the culture, the politics. Constant revolutionizing of production, uninterrupted disturbance of all social conditions, everlasting uncertainty and agitation distinguish the bourgeoisie epoch from all earlier ones. All fixed, fast, frozen relations with their train of ancient and venerable prejudices and opinions are swept away. All new formed ones become antiquated before they can ossify. All that is solid melts into air. All that is holy is profaned, and man is at last compelled with sober senses of his real conditions of life and relations with his kind. The need of a constantly expanding market for its products chase the bourgeoisie over the whole surface of the globe. It must nestle everywhere, settle everywhere, establish connections everywhere. The bourgeoisie has, through its exploitation of the world market, given a cosmopolitan character to production and consumption in every country. Capitalism has taken the whole world over. So when they say we have only the world to gain, to lose our chains and the whole world to gain, capitalism has already succeeded. Capitalism has already taken the world over, and that has created a cosmopolitan culture. It has taken all 200 countries. People look to capitalism to do capitalism's bidding. Now, because capitalism needs a working class, therefore, the workers could just control the factories on their own. The workers don't need a management class, but if the workers are able to get out from underneath the yoke of the capitalist, the bourgeoisie, won't they have to run themselves? And how will they run themselves? Democratically? Will they elect their leader? Will they have one leader? Will they have a council of leadership? Will they just do direct democracy? Go back to the Greek, the town hall where they vote for anything and everything? You still got some decisions to make now, don't you? I think it would be easy to imagine a world where the workers actually control the factories. I think that's easy to imagine. That's easy to think about. It's easy to think about. Because if the workers don't go to the factories, well, then what happens to the factories? Well, we don't produce any more commodities. We don't make any more steel. No more oil barrels. The bourgeoisie, by the rapid improvement of all instruments of production, by the immensely facilitated means of communication, draws all, even the most barbarian nations, into civilization. Even the barbaric nations have to become civilized. So not only is it revolutionizing, but it's a civilizing force. This is Karl Marx. You think capitalism is the bee's knees? You think capitalism is it? It's what's with it, and it's what's got it? Well, then you're a goddamn Marxist. The cheap prices of its commodities are the heavy artillery, which it batters down all Chinese walls, with which it forces the barbarians' intensely obstinate hatred of foreigners to capitulate. It compels all nations, on pain of extinction, to adopt the bourgeoisie mode of production. It compels them to introduce what it calls civilization into their midst, i.e. to become bourgeoisie themselves. In a world, it creates a world after its own image. The bourgeoisie, during its rule of scarce 100 years, has created more massive, more colossal productive forces than have all preceding generations together. Subjection of nature's forces to man, machinery, application of chemistry to industry, agriculture, steam navigation, railways, electric, telegraphs, clearing of whole continents for cultivation, canalization of rivers, whole populations conjured out of the ground. What earlier century had even a presentiment that such productive forces slumbered in the lap of social labor? Hey, can you chill out over there? Hey, chill out. Thank you. In these crises, there breaks out an epidemic that in all earlier epochs would have seemed an absurdity. The epidemic of overproduction. Society suddenly finds itself put back into a state of momentary barbarism. What is it, summertime? Chill out, summertime. The epidemic of overproduction. Society, I once heard that the Great Depression happened because of overproduction. What does overproduction mean? You made too many Model T cars, you made too many washing machines, you made the overproduction of durable goods. So you made 100,000 washing machines that you couldn't sell, and then that tanked your business. You know, if you wait 20 years, eventually you could sell those washing machines. Also, you got new markets all over the place. Ship them south, ship them west, ship them north, ship them east. The overproduction of durable goods. Capitalism created too much stuff. Too much stuff has been created. Society suddenly finds itself put back into a state of momentary barbarism. It appears as if a famine, a universal war of devastation, had cut off the supply of every means of subsistence, industry, commerce seem to be destroyed. And why? Because there's too much civilization, too much means of subsistence, too much industry, and too much commerce. So if you read Marx, you almost feel like his argument is sound. His argument is sound. He is saying that, goddammit, capitalism has kicked ass, taken names. Capitalism has taken the whole world offer. It's created a cosmopolitan perspective. Capitalism has done it. Capitalism has succeeded. And in the wake of capitalism's success, you got worker bees who run the factories, who run the means of production. And when the workers stop, the whole thing stops. But can you get all the workers united? One guy, Jay Gould, said you could always pay one half of the poor to attack the other half. And because you could always pay one half of the poor to attack the other half of the poor, divide and conquer. People have different interests. People need that job, need that paycheck, need to do it right now. The lack of solidarity. Somebody's got to be a scab, and somebody else is going to do it. But if we can unite, if the people, the workers of the world, the workers of America would shut down the factories, shut down the means of production, say to stop the genocide of Gaza, then we would get what we want. We shut down the whole goddamn country because we don't support your fucking genocide. No, we don't want to fucking goddamn massacre the fuck out of a bunch of Gazans, a bunch of poor people in Bethlehem. How can you Christians even sit there and sing, "Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how sweet we see thee lie"? How can you have your Christmases? How can you have your nativity scene? That was in Bethlehem, and that's in Palestine. That's in Gaza, the West Bank, and in Lebanon. So they're just attacking everybody. Even Tim Walsh says he's for the expansion of Israel. I'm not for no fucking expansion of Israel. Most Jewish folks are against the expansion of Israel. So those are the two main points that I want to make. Oh my God, the black woman is a Marxist and she's going to take us all down. I wish she was a Marxist. I hope she's a Marxist. But I think she's a shapeshifter. She's just going with the winds, the political winds. She was running against Bernie, so she had to say the same thing that Bernie was saying. But now she's running against dipshit, crazy, batshit Donald. So all she has to do is basically be a common sense person who can articulate a sentence. If she could be a common sense person who could articulate a sentence, she essentially can maintain the status quo. And here's one of Kamala's ideas. She's going to give power to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, for price gouging. So if the big box businesses want to raise your gallon of milk from $4 a gallon to $20 a gallon, then the FTC, granted that there's evidence and that there's a case to be made that there was price gouging, the FTC can find that big box grocery store. If you're a small business, if you're a small merchant, if you're a consumer or a worker, that doesn't affect you whatsoever. So that's not a takeover. How in the world is that a takeover of anything? She wants 3 million houses to be built. So here's another idea of Kamala's. She wants to take the tax breaks that these big housing corporations get, because you got these housing corporations just buying all the rental houses up in the neighborhood and then jacking rents up as high as they possibly can. People have to pay higher rents. They can't save as much. They're not getting into home ownership. You want home ownership. Home ownership is good for the economy, good for citizenship. It gives people their own space, their own place to collect all this capitalistic crap. I wish she was a Marxist. I wish she was a Marxist, but just taking away a tax incentive. Hey, you big corporation asshole who's raising rents on everybody, I'm not going to give you your tax break anymore. You're going to pay the same taxes as everybody else. Well, that's not really smashing the billionaire class. That's not smashing capitalism. That's not taking the oil, taking all the coal, taking all the land, taking all the trees, taking all the houses, and then redistributing it to all the people, now is it? That's not even universal basic income. That's nothing. That's breadcrumbs. That's breadcrumbs. You're going to take away a tax incentive for a big-ass corporation. If they do price gouging, then the FTC, some agency, and some prosecutors can crack down on them. Oh, and what? make them pay a damn $1,000 fine after they done hose people with their price gouging bullshit. Maybe raise the minimum wage a little bit. You know, this is not Marxism. This is not communism. It's definitely not Stalinism, and Maoism is what you want to be afraid of. But Marx is just a theorist. If she was a Marxist, that would be great for America, because we need a bold, progressive plan to move forward. We don't just need the damn status quo. And so if the damn Democrats lose this shit, the only criticism is coming from the left. You're not going to hear Donald talk about, let's have a war on poverty. Let's build homes for the houseless. You're not going to hear Donald say, let's get labor unions strengthened. Let's have an employee free choice act. You're not going to hear any of these things coming out of Donald. And since Donald isn't going to make the promises of the progressive agenda that we need, then it's Kamala's to lose, because she's both a conservative and the liberal. She's a status quo, common sense conservative, and she's got liberal breadcrumbs for the rest of us. You want to overturn society, a fascist, the eyes of a fascist? That one guy said, you survived, Donald. We couldn't survive Biden. Donald set this whole damn thing up. He made sure Jerusalem was right in the middle of that. He made sure the Golan Heights was his. Donald set all this shit up. Talk about right-wing, batshit, crazy bullshit. If you have a conscience, you're 43 states in America, you're a safe state. So you've already been counted off. Alabama, Mississippi, California, New York, you're a blue state. Texas, you're a red state. You don't fucking matter. If you're not Wisconsin, Minnesota, if you're not Nevada, I think maybe Arizona, North Carolina, there's 7 swing states. If you're not one of those 7 swing states, then your vote doesn't matter. So why not vote against the genocide by voting for a libertarian, Chase Oliver, or Claudia de la Cruz, a socialist, or Cornel West, just a badass black radical, or Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate. Every single one of them are opposed to the genocide in Gaza. Every one of them are opposed. Do you think Donald's going to stop the genocide? Donald will bomb them even more. Donald will allow the genocide to just go on unhindered. He'll let them wipe them all fucking out, and then he'll let Putin take all of Ukraine. So, Kamala, a Marxist? Give me a fucking break. If you think capitalism is it, then that means you got some Marxist ideas too. He does criticize it. Let me have this little He said, what the bourgeoisie therefore produces above all is its own grave diggers. Why is that? Because you're not going to work the fucking factories. And since you're not going to work the fucking factories, then you're employing the workers who could shut the factories down. You're employing the workers who run the machines and run the whole damn thing. And when they stop, the whole thing stops. And if you don't have a pool of workers to get some scabs in there, sometimes you need specialized labor. And if it's a specialized labor class, you're not going to have that pool to use one against the other, divide and conquer. They say we're not going to do the damn job. And the pork strike, there's a lot of strikes that happen and they're successful. A lot are failures. Some people just fire the air traffic controllers, right? Fire everybody. And that's why we need a revolution. But you're not going to tell me that Kamala is not a goddamn capitalist or an imperialist. She's the status quo Joe. She's been under Joe for 4 years, and she is not promising us a damn thing. Incremental change. She's going to carry the incrementalism of the Biden regime. And Donald isn't the fucking answer either, so basically, we don't have an answer. We get what we can from electoral politics, and then we fight for the rest. That's all we really got at this point.